Hey there, my friend. This is Dr. Anthony Balduzzi, and I want to welcome you back to another episode here on the Fit Father Project podcast. Today, we're joined by one of our very own Fit Father brothers, Robert Finlay. And this is a powerful conversation, and one I will say on a personal note that I drew a lot of inspiration from. And one of the reasons I drew so much inspiration from this, and I'm excited for you to listen, is that Robert is 69 years young. We're going to call him basically our Fit Father 70-year-old badass. This guy is a total athlete at basically 70 years old. He is doing multi-100-mile kayak races. He is running, he's rucking, he's doing pull-ups, he's just getting after it. He trains so hard. And he's been an athlete most of his life, from his time growing up and his mom encouraging him to climb things and be outdoors and be adventurous, to his time in the army, to being an iron worker and a kayak guide. He's had a very active life. And I think Robert's one of those guys that's living proof that we're certainly not too over the hill or too old to have a life that's filled with adventure and doing things outdoors and pushing our bodies and our mindset. And this particular conversation goes a little bit longer than some of our normal interviews. Normally, we're going, let's just say, around 45 minutes. This one's a little over an hour. And I want you to listen up and listen to some of Robert's stories, because I think you're going to draw a lot of inspiration from how he personally approaches his life, what he does to modify some of the Fit Father workouts to make them even more engaging and challenging. And just see the mindset of a man who has wanted to push himself at a high level for almost all of his life, and how he did slip up and fall, a little bit of a fall from grace, that he was able to use the Fit Father program to get motivated back in January of 2022 using the transformation contest. So my urge and my charge for you is to listen to this. And as you're doing in listening to Robert's stories, reflect in your own life. How can you be a little more like Robert in your own life? What can you do to add a little more adventure into your routine? How can you push yourself a little more physically? How can you incorporate some of these deep emotional aspects into your daily workouts and just how you approach your life? So, Robert, if you're listening to this, which I'm sure you are at some point, thanks for sharing your inspiration and showing us what's possible at 70 years young. And for the rest of our brotherhood, get ready for a really amazing episode. And I'll talk to you guys in just a moment on the episode. All right, Robert, welcome officially to the Fit Father Project podcast, my friend. I'm so happy to have you here.
I'm happy to be here.
This is fun, actually, because although we're recording this one in the same state, you live in Kingman, Arizona, I live in Phoenix, Scottsdale, Arizona area. And so to kick this off, I'd love for you to introduce yourself to all the guys and gals who are listening to this show, your name, your age, where you're from right now, and maybe where you were born as well, and anything that you'd like to share about your family and what you do for work.
Well, quickly, so I'm like 45 miles out of Kingman.
Yeah.
There's no even cell phone coverage where I live. So my wife and I are 45 miles from the nearest grocery store, right? The nearest gym, right? I was born in California. My father was a heavy construction engineer. So by 10th grade, I'd been in 10 different schools.
Wow.
Right? Not moving every year, but sometimes moving enough, but it didn't count it anyway. I'm 69 now. And I'm fired up about that, actually. Yeah. So,
and I know you're retired now, but tell us a little bit about your profession and your professional career.
Alrighty. 3 days out of high school, I enlisted in the Army in 1971. And I was looking forward to, or thinking of that as a career. And I loved soldiering. I'll talk about that a little bit later if you want, or if you get there. But after about 7 years, I sort of had enough of Army bureaucracy. And, but I had actually gone to school to be an engineer, like my father and grandfather. But I didn't see myself working, right? So I became an iron worker. I knew a guy in the Army whose dad was, family were iron workers. I followed that lead and became a Los Angeles iron worker, and I loved it. I mean, it's physical, a lot of problem solving. You show up at work, you're the foreman maybe. Your crew looks like a casting out of, Sons of Anarchy or something, There's great guys, a little rough, a lot of camaraderie and a lot of problem solving. I mean, you have the plans, and there's the job, and you've got to build this thing. You've got to do it as efficiently as possible. I love that as a career. I'll just leave work as that. But I gave that up about 20 years ago. I loved working, but I got tired of driving around in circles on the freeways getting to the job.
And your family, a little bit of background on family, then we'll launch into your FF30X journey.
My father and mother, for instance?
No, you're more like your spouse, your kids, and that kind of thing.
As I became an iron worker, right? The guy I was in the Army with, I met his sister. And we got together. Two great kids. So my kids started rock climbing with me when they were like, I don't know, 2 years old.
Nice.
I mean, they were still in Pampers, and they'd be marching through the desert to get to the cliffs. And I remember one time they were 6 and 7 or 8, and just trying to approach to the cliff we're going to climb that day. Horrendous, really. And they got up there. I mean, they were used to it, right? And my daughter's second grade teacher was shocked that we got this. A little kid could get up there. And my daughter said, she goes, we're tough little soldiers. So they were rock climbing with me when they were little. My son climbed this 1,900-foot climb with me when he was 7. He was almost 8, but he was 7. I got them mountain bikes when they were 6 and 7. Over the years, they upgraded their mountain bikes. They were mountain biking with me avidly when they were kids. They were rock climbing with me. About the time they were 19 and 20, they started adventure racing. And we've done races just all over them. Fabulous, really.
And adventure racing, effectively, just to define that for those who are not familiar, is basically biking, running, kayaking, doing all sorts of stuff in exotic, amazing locations, like over long distances.
Well, yeah, the big three is trekking. I mean, you can say you're running, and you try to. If you're a fit team, you can run the downhills, maybe. But you show up at a transition, you just mountain bike 90 kilometers all through the night. We give you the next set of maps, and you start looking at it, and the next leg is 110 miles of trekking through the Scottish Highlands,
Yeah.
With maybe some swims along the way, etc. So the big three are trekking, kayaking, and mountain biking.
That sounds fun. Now, I want to get into some of your backstory as the conversation unfolds, but I guess we'll get the focus into your journey with us at the Fit Father Project. So it's pretty clear that you had a big athletic background, you were a fit guy, but I'm sure somewhere along the way that changed a little bit, and you kind of get serious with us in January of 2022. So tell us a little about how you found FFP, and then I guess what it was like when you committed for the transformation contest in Jan 2022.
Yeah, that'd be fun to talk. Big pivotal point in my life. Yeah. So I entered my 60s kind of like an athlete. I mean, in 2013, I was 60. I went to this event called the Endeavor Team Challenge, and it's on my calendar for this coming July. You go to their website, it's this monumental test of fitness. I don't think it's that hard. But there's been always 50 to 70 some teams there, and we've managed to place my partner and I, good friend, my son's 8. We've managed to place in the top 10, 4 to 5.
Nice.
Okay, so, and I was doing athletic events every single year through, almost every month, throughout my 60s. 2018, my son and I set the course record for paddlecraft, in other words, kayak or canoe, in the Everglades Challenge. I'd like to talk about that maybe a little later. It's kind of a complicated thing to go to a coastal event and even finish 300 miles of kayaking, never mind,
right,
etc. It took us 10 attempts to finally get to the record.
Wow.
There was a lot going on, right? There was a lot. But, so I was that was 2018. I don't know, I was 65 then. and life was continuing on. I'm this like athlete guy, not really paying attention to my age, but suffering a lot of pain. I just worked around it. Mm-hmm. That's my habit. So I mean, on these 2 acres I own, I planted like 70 trees. That's a lot of work. I mean,
yeah.
But sometimes I would be out there with a pitchfork, not pitchfork, but the thing that hammers in. What's that thing?
Yeah, like a jackhammer, like a.
Well, it's a big old, not a pitchfork, but whatever.
To soften the ground up for planting.
Yeah. And I would get this jarring pain in my. Yeah. I mean, sometimes I'd be walking the tools back to the garage. I had to sit down. But sometimes the hip would show up, but most of the time it was in my knee. And it's incredible. I thought I tore a ligament during one event. I was, still finished the event, but I was crippled. I thought I tore my ACL. I mean, that's what it hurt. So I eventually followed up on this with some surgeons. And Dr. Amber Randall from Flagstaff Bone & Joint. The knees are fine. It's your hip. It's grinding. And the pain is manifesting. It's in the knee, right? So she said, we can do a surgery next week. Because I had decided, okay, surgery's better. We can do it next week, she said. I told her I'm in the middle of training for this 300-mile, it's just 2021, like winter. I'm training for this 300-mile kayak. Let's go for it. So it was tough. I mean, my son and I would finish a 35-mile paddle, and I literally couldn't get out of the boat afterwards. But we persevered. We went to the darn race and darn near broke our own record that we'd set in 2002.
Wow.
Yeah. The weather wasn't quite cooperating, but we were close. Great. That itself, that's a great memory. That was March 2021. April 2021, I got the surgery. What an event. I thought I would just bounce back from that. Like me. Didn't. I mean, I thought the pain from the next few weeks was just out of this world. Okay, fine, I'll adapt and etc. But I thought the return journey from that was tougher than first you're walking in a little walker. Then you've got 2 crutches. Then you got 1 crutch. Then you got 2 walking sticks. Then you get 1 walking stick. Then you can finally walk. My mailbox is about a mile away. It's going to take me like an hour to walk. Anyway, I was still okay with coming back from this, but you're not supposed to pick up a weight. You're not even supposed to bend over. I'd be working around the garden, and I'd bend over by doing it with 1 leg straight.
Yeah.
I didn't know I was doing basically a
RDL
Romanian deadlift at that time, but I kind of was. So I kind of enjoy archery, so that's a lot of walking. So I got a lot of arrows during this, right? But also drinking a lot. I mean, you shoot a bunch of arrows. Hey, let's have a beer, and you shoot some more arrows, get some more beers. It's mostly in the evening. It wasn't drinking today, but I was drinking a lot more than I'd ever have in. And my body and health was just going boom. And I had joined the Fit Father Project for Life a couple of years earlier because I saw I needed to make some changes. But I couldn't engage the Apex 10 and also train for these other events. And I would be doing, the Apex 10 requires a lot. We couldn't also go kayaking and be fried, So I gave up on the Fit Father Project in that earlier. But it was Fit Father Project for Life because I saw the value. I get across my desk a newsletter driving the competition transformation clean tech. Mm-hmm. I think I deleted it. You get so many newsletters from everybody,
Yeah.
There's another one, right? Upon reflection, I went back into my trash folder, dug that out of there, And I took a close look at it. And I said, this is exactly what I need, right? I signed up, mission statement, the whole deal, And I attacked it. I was full on in with it. I mean, I would do an Apex 10, and that afternoon I'd work out some more. I was already doing the big fives in conjunction with the MRTs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, eventually you added in, let's do a hit.
Yep.
Well, I was doing hits. Well, you suggested once a week, right?
Yep.
I was doing hits every afternoon. I mean, people would say, well, you can't do a hit that level of intensity every day. Well, no, you probably can't, but I would still go at it, And I found out I love doing hits, I would run down the driveway. I got about 100-yard driveway, 50-yard driveway. I'd run down the driveway with 2 kettlebells. I'd run down the driveway with a 35-pound barbell on a shoulder and come back with it on the other shoulder. I love doing hits with arrows. I made this little course through creosote bushes and the cactus, and you got to duck down under a joshua tree branch, and I'd run off with a bow and 3 arrows. Like a 60-second course with my watch, try to get that heart jacked as best I could, and calmly loose 3 arrows downrange as accurately as possible. And then you watch you get to 3, okay. Again, for 6 or 7 laps. And I just loved it. I just loved all that. There was nothing I didn't love about the transformation contest. Regardless of, and I apply, if I see contests or competition, I'm probably going to sign up, right? But was it Barry Tanner that won last year? He
was one of the winners, yeah.
Yeah, he was wow.
Right.
I get a little emotional. It's okay. What a phenomenal effort I put in.
Yeah.
So it wasn't important like I win. I'll go to a competition and I'll look up and down the start line. I'll go, who's going to beat me? Right? But I know that's not realistic, nor is it really. I'll strive as hard as I can.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's who I am, but I'm loving the guys that are on the podium. If I can't be there, I'm fine.
Yeah.
And to have just been there, right? And to meet these people, you go to a competition like in Scotland, it's going to be a 350-mile race, and there's the athletes' village beforehand, right? There's 30 teams, and there's 7 teams from the U.S., and what a great bunch of people to meet, right? So
in the transformation contest, I think you worked phases 1 through 3 of FF30X.
I did.
And how did your body transform through that time in terms of weight, stats, body fat, strength, goals? Like, how would you describe the before and after of having gone through like the 6 months or so of the programming there?
You take that before picture, right? And you look at it, there was front, side, and back. And you look at yourself, and oh my God. And you may have to edit this. I looked at myself, man, I look like a piece of shit. I look horrible. And who cares how it got there, but that's where I am now, right? So here's what. Then after 30 days, you take another set of photos. And my wife is sitting, right here in front of the computer, right, looking at these photos and laughing. The change in 30 days was unbelievable, right?
Yeah.
Right? The change in 60 days, remarkable. The change in 90 days, like, wow. My life is coming back.
Mindset, physically. But the one thing you did is you went like all in on this thing, certainly on the workouts, which I imagine was pretty comfortable for you being with your background of like doing a lot of exercise. How did your nutrition change through the program? What are some of the things you learned or implemented? What does your nutrition routine become in conjunction with the training aspect?
My wife is brilliant at preparing meals. So we've always eaten pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Oddly, I mean, we never go to fast food place, except when we do, right? Once a month or so.
Yeah.
Like, oddly, I'm going to Flagstaff. It's a long journey from here, like 3-hour drive, and back and forth. There's so many appointments. You have to see your doctor pre-surgery, post,
Right.
And there's McDonald's, on the weekends. That was our big thing. We'd see the doctor in the morning, and on the way home, stop at McDonald's. Like, kind of horrible to admit that, but normally I've always eaten quite well. But I would watch your instructions on nutrition. So yeah, let's fine tune this a little bit, right? Let's be better at it.
Yeah.
And my wife is all in on that, right? She's so great. So there was probably some processed foods and junk foods here and there. That's kind of gone now.
Mm-hmm.
Although I still have tortilla chips with refried beef,
Sure.
But I look at the label, I go, well, there's no trans fats. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. We probably modified our cooking oils. They're good cooking oils.
Nice.
I probably were before. More leafy greens, like almost every night. We don't have a salad every single day.
Yep.
But we probably have salads 5 or 6 nights a week, right?
Nice.
Dark leafy greens. I think our habits of eating meats were probably hasn't changed. Red meat once a week,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of good fish and stuff.
Yep.
Chicken breasts, etc. So I think we've probably eaten pretty good mostly. I snack a lot.
Yeah.
I walk in the kitchen and eat. I don't do that now. In fact, I'm fasting right now. Here's my coffee with coconut MCT oil, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there it is there.
Nice.
That's how I start the day. I would do that 1 day a week, 24-hour fast, and I felt remarkable after. I love that. And, some people say they have the difficulty of fasting that whole time. I loved it. I put myself in the mindset of a hunter-gatherer. I love working out hungry.
Yeah.
Rock climbing was a big part of it. Still rock climbing, but big part of my life. And I always felt you climbed better slightly hungry.
You are. You're more alert too. There's a hormone called anorexin that happens when it makes you more alert when you're not eating. Yeah.
So I wouldn't know about that hormone, but but I was kind of clued into beta endorphins.
Yeah, exactly.
Addiction, right? But so I've known for years that you're kind of better hungry at many things, right? So I love getting out there on that workout deck. I mean, I have some gym equipment in here, but I used it yesterday. The weather was just horrible, so it worked out in here. But I love working out hungry. I would get on that workout deck of mine. Okay, but I talk about how I was so into it and I was 100% and all this. Let me backtrack a second. Those MRTs, they're gut wrenching. They're difficult. And to be honest, you go up to the pyramid to 9. Do you really want to do the 10th? Do you really want to do every rep of the 10th?
Right.
Sometimes you don't. You're sick. You would do the swings, then you do the clean and presses, and then you do the squats, and then you crawl over there. You walk over there to the dumbbells to do a renegade rows or renegade push-ups, and you're sick to your stomach.
Yeah.
Yeah, truthfully. And so I think I'm off the topic of nutrition already. I'm sorry. But I adopted intermittent fasting as a lifestyle now. I love that. I mean, I generally go 16 hours, 7 in the evening to maybe 11 in the morning. Sometimes it's only 14 hours or 15, or sometimes it's tea. Really do I do the 24 anymore. But on the day my wife goes shopping, and if I'm staying here, by the time I've the night before to when she gets home with a nice curry dish from the Filipino restaurant. Probably 20, 22 hours.
Yeah.
And so that's a good fast, I think.
For sure.
Yeah. Right. No.
Nice.
Right. I don't worry about all the. That's another thing. Like, I like to talk about stress. I've never been a stressful guy. I mean, I could panic over opening a package from. I think Amazon's gotten better with the package. But if something is very, very, very dangerous, I was calm. I'm very. So the only thing that I don't have anything I stress. I mean, I sleep well, pulse is low. That's just something I've been graced with. Right. Or also it's training. If you keep pushing yourself into high stress environments, you learn how to calm. I haven't always made the right call.
Yeah.
But I've made the wrong call calmly, Right. So there's that. But yeah, getting back to that gut-wrenching MRTs, I saw myself as a gladiator with myself, like fighting in the arena, right? I mean, there's the weak guy who's irresolute, and there's the strong warrior that you want to become.
Yeah.
So no matter how sick I was, I would do every rep. In fact, I got in the habit of adding rep. Like I wouldn't just finish, 1, 2, 3, and I do all 10 of those. I would do one more push-up.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think one MRT had us doing leg lifts.
Yep.
Well, I added in doing a bench press with a leg lift.
Nice.
And after every round, I wouldn't do the 8 pull-ups. I couldn't do 8. But I would do 8 pull-ups. I would do, let's say I was only 11 when you're downhill. 7 seemed like,
yeah,
now it's downhill, right? But regardless of what number it was at, I would do a pull-up or 2 or 3. I think in one video it was 8 and I did 8 pull-ups, but that was fictional.
Yeah.
I really did 8 pull-ups in the video right there, but truthfully, if I could go up there and do 3 or 4 or 5, super happy. I would try to do the pull-ups at the end. Added things. Because I didn't want to be my weak self.
The act of doing that little extra, tapping into that inner warrior mindset, it's like something that's very primal in the human spirit that makes us feel alive. And at the same time, makes it so that we actually want to seek more of that out. It's like the lazy mindset itself has a momentum to it. It's easy to be lazy
absolutely.
When you're being lazy, right?
Absolutely.
And on the other side of things, you have this mindset of just striving a little more. And I think this is one thing I want to give you a lot of respect for. And also, I hope people are taking this to heart. I think what's so unique is that you've made this program your own with modifications and creations that make this even more engaging, fun, and challenging for you specifically. Like the MRTs that you've modified, the going the little extra, adding something else in. I hope that more people listen to this and start doing stuff like that. Like the program I wrote is great. It obviously works, but the program that you adapted for you based on what I created is even better, right? And I love that you do that. So please speak into that a little bit more and share some stories of the stuff that you've modified and what you do, because I think it will hopefully inspire some people to maybe do the same.
Well, early on when I'm doing the Apex 10, let's go back to that for a moment. I wanted to do more. I think I even asked Pat, and she said, well, you should ask Craig. So I asked Craig, is it okay? Because, if you work out, you need to rest, see the game. So I don't want to keep crushing myself. So, although I do like to crush myself. But, I wanted to see the gains, right? Well, I wanted to see the losses of the weight.
Yep.
I didn't want to blow the program. And Craig said, yeah. Work out again that day. Better if you did it right after the Apex 10, but I honestly couldn't. I was fried. At the end of any Apex 10, right? So in the afternoon, I have an afternoon. I'd go eat. I'd go take a nap. Come back in the afternoon with coffee, And so I was doing sort of the big 5, but way before you even fed us that. And I was specifically working on things I was weak at.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, when I was in the Army, I could do 45 dips, parallel bar dip.
Yeah.
Nice one. I could do 27 pull-ups, right? Oh, I was that guy then, right? Yeah, I set up a couple of bars and I couldn't do one dip. Okay? And my pull-ups, weren't as strong as they should be. I got fat, I got weak. So I was doing chair dip. I was doing push-ups and bench. I was doing pull-ups. I start off with pull-ups, do a routine, go back to doing pull-ups to finish, start and finish the pull-ups. Right? So there's an adaptation. I was working on my weakness.
Yep.
Right. I'm still working on weakness.
Yeah.
Okay, I can't do a back arch. I found that out the other day. Somebody on somewhere on YouTube was doing a back arch. I go, I used to do those. I get down on the floor to do one. I was glued to the floor. I was like epoxy to the floor, right? Okay, yeah. So I'm a little better now. It's been a couple weeks, but I'm still not way far from being satisfied with my back arch. Keep working on it.
I think it's fascinating about this is like I read a book many years back. It was called Top Dogs, and it basically looks at like people who perform the highest in many different areas of life. Like, why is Tiger Woods so great at golf and other kinds of things? And what they found is one of the main traits is deliberate practice. Like the top performers find things that they're actually weak in, and they identify that, and they do deliberate practice around that. And it seems like, and not surprisingly, you as an athlete and all the races you've done and your Army time and all that, like you have a mindset, whether it's conscious or unconscious, of looking at your weaknesses and wanting to adapt training to round those out. And I think that's so cool that you do that specifically.
You don't get better by working what you're already good at.
Sure.
Right. You cannot win unless you address your weakness.
And that's where humility comes into greatness too, I guess. It's like you have to really be able to self-assess where you're at with that, without negativity, with just like reality. Right. Like this is where I'm at. I'm glued to the floor. I can't do a back arch. Now what? What's the plan? How am I going to change it? Do I want to change it? Why do I want to change it? Like that kind of mindset is applied everywhere in life. Certainly fitness, but with your family, with your business adventures, racing, whatever.
Well, the back arch, that's mobility.
Yeah.
Right? So when I first, early in one of your MRTs, not the Apex 10, but I don't know which one. I have my notes here, but let me show you something. So all of them. There's old school abs, for instance.
Nice.
Everything's here, right? Part of the workout was a reverse lunge.
Yep. That was double trouble, I think. Drop back, reverse lunge. Yep.
Well, my double trouble doesn't list reverse lunge because I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Right? So, and I used to be so mobile and flexible as a climber, etc. That hip surgery, my knee, I was kind of, anyway, I lost the ability to do things with my knees during that time. I wasn't just drinking and getting fat. I was getting immobile. Shocking. So when the double trouble requires me to do a back lunge and not do it, I had to address that problem. Mm-hmm. So, I have a PowerTech half rack on my workout gym. And, you put a barbell up there and it's like a hand.
Yep.
And so I'm like one hand trying to do front lunge, do back. Well, now I can do lunges quite well. Not as well as I want to. Still working on it. But I can do walking lunges across the yard with a couple dumbbells. I can, with a kettlebell, I can do a back lunge, like a goblet, lunge. Not smooth yet, right? If I get warmed up, maybe I can make it look smooth for a camera or something, but no, it's not. It's not smooth yet. But now I can do a forward lunge, roll back into a back lunge, forward lunge, that, I'm moving again. So now let's look at the back arch, right? Couldn't do it. Well, I want to do it because I want to be mobile.
Yep.
Right? I want to be able to go out there and get into a grasshopper squat and lose an arrow at the target. Yeah. Right? But right now, I can, but it had to come back to that because I couldn't squat. About 2 weeks ago, I saw you said 5 movements you need to do, and one was a deep squat.
Yep.
Well, you know what I discovered yesterday was that if you hold a weight, like a goblet again, right?
Yeah.
And you go into that deep squat, it's like a counterbalance.
Yeah.
It's like you were holding on to something, but it's better because this holding on to something is moving with you.
It's a great idea.
It worked beautifully, and I only just figured that out yesterday.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Right?
Yeah.
So yesterday I had to come inside to work out, and that Bowflex you can see back there.
Yep.
Well, that's helpful sometimes. I don't use it that much anymore. But yesterday it was the weather yesterday was just so atrocious. Come inside. I warm up on the Bowflex, doing unilateral and bilateral, everything. It was a great little workout. Then I go outside, and I have 4 weights to dump, right? And so farmer's walk, the lightest in. And you know I think you called it the strength bullet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
bullet strength. Yep, exactly.
So I work up in the weights. Like I go to the light ones first.
Yeah.
But I did a modification. I did free swings, then 3 cleans and presses, and then 3 squats, but very deep.
Yep.
And that's where I discovered so I did it with 2 kettlebells, but then I did it unilaterally with 1. And also I occasionally would just throw in a goblet too. And wow, I found out that deep squat was like I was holding on to something as I was trying to get down there on my butt to my heels, And it felt great. It just felt great.
Yeah.
So my finishing workout was, you gave instruction on how to do a proper push-up. I saw that somewhere. So, down slow, pull it back up.
Yep.
And then go over to the pull-up apparatus. And, I don't know. Let me just do this, right? So, not interested there in trying to crank out a bunch of those.
Right.
But I like it because you start off pronated and you come in supinated, and you're hanging and you're doing a leg, like hinging at the hips.
Yep.
A few of those feel great.
Yep.
They do. They just feel great, So,
at what point in your Fit Father journey did you? Well, I guess from the beginning you were making these modifications, but what I'm getting at is something that stands out to me is that you incorporate this element of play and exploration into your exercise, or it's not just I think a lot of guys think about exercise as I need to get my workout in. And for you, it's much more expansive than that. It's just this is my mobility. This is fun. Plus you incorporate a lot of outside stuff, which I think is very important. You do a hybrid of working out outside on your deck plus inside, the element of nature, fresh air, sunshine, probably harkens back some of this youthful, I'm outside playing now. And I think that's a part of your personality that I think is unique. So please speak into that a little bit.
So that was yesterday morning's workout, the kettlebells and the pull, all that stuff. And in the afternoon, I did a hike up a mountain, not hill really, but big hill, but no trail, no road. And it's lava. That is. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, sharp, jagged rocks.
Yeah, there's no walking smoothly. And I don't want to do that too often, but once in a while, because it's challenging just to walk the terrain. Every step has to be, So, how do I make my workouts fun and why or something?
Yeah, the mindset of play and the mindset of just like that, because I think that's unique and different than many people approach exercise.
Well, life is play. I see guys on the Brotherhood on Facebook saying they don't really like working out and stuff, and I get that. They're probably important guys doing important things somewhere, but I also feel sad because working out shouldn't be. It seems like that's all I do, right? It shouldn't be that either. And I'll get to that in a moment as well. But my mother encouraged my sister and I to be adventurous. I mean, she read to us every day. And I found myself doing adventures as I was little. I mean, I climbed the city water tower, city of Westminster, California, when I was 5 years old.
Nice.
Right, which my mother wasn't upset. She said, just don't do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just spank me or something. But she also taught me respect for other people, for the things. You're at the beach, you're a little kid, you throw a rock at a seagull. My mom would drop a rock on my head. Asked me how I felt. I learned not to throw rocks at animals, right? I learned a respect for nature as well. So let's say you're in high school. You're training to be a better runner. You're training to be a better wrestler. Then you go in the Army. You're training to be a better soldier, right? I mean, in the Army, I could run 2 miles my best time was 9:51 in combat boots. Not on a track either, like on a soccer field. I set the all-Army record, the monkey bar, which the Army calls the horizontal ladder. I think I slapped 145 in 122nd.
Wow.
At Ranger School, I tied the all-time record for the Derby Queen, kind of an infamous obstacle course. And I just was looking up some YouTube videos of Derby Queen. Hasn't changed much. But, okay, then I became an iron worker. And that's physical trade. You don't train to be an iron worker, you just go work. But I started rock climbing almost every weekend. And it was great because on Sunday afternoons the family was rock climbing, Some beautiful memories there. But, so you train, okay, midweek, you're training to be a better rock climber. Because you're going rock climbing because it's fun and you climb. It's climbing. I'd like to talk about why one climbs, but I don't know if we have time for that. But it's immediate gratification. Like a chess game, you're looking 3 moves ahead. When you're climbing, you're on a vertical. Your body's the chess piece. The clip is the chess board, and you've got to solve the problem. And when you do, it's immediate gratification, positive. If you fall and you fail, you fall onto a piece and you fall on the ground or something. But that's also a lesson. That's not how you do that move, or I'm not strong enough yet to do this climb. So climbing is problem solving, and you train for it. And then adventure racing. Well, you're not going to if you're going to go to a race, it's 350-mile race, or I've done 600-mile races. You have to prepare for that. You have to at least show up confident. You don't have to have it in your mindset you're going to win. You don't have to have it in mindset you're going to be the champion adventure racer of the world. Because it's not going to, or the best climber in the world. It's not going to necessarily happen. I never had that mindset. I just want to be good at what I apply myself. And if you're going to go with a team, like adventure racing is a team of it's you and one guy, or you and 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. And if you're going to go there with a team, you have to be part of that team. You have to be confident. You train so that you're going to be a good teammate. You train for confidence. You don't have to be the best mountain biker or best anything, but you have to be fairly good at it. So fun. Well, I'm 69 years old now, right? So I used to train to be a better this or that. Now what am I training? I think I have an event on I'm training for that, but that's not we'll go there, we're going to do good. I know we are. But you have to train for it. But I'm also training for my life, right? It's first of all, it's fun to be alive, right? In the most simplest sense, it's just fun to get up in the morning. The latest I've slept in my whole life, in last, say, 50 years, 7:40 in the morning.
You are an Army man through and through, my friend.
I had this great colonel one time, was our commanding officer, battalion commander. And he said a soldier should get up in the morning, shit, shower, shave, and be in formation in 5 minutes. I don't know if that's quite possible, but that was the standard, right?
Yeah.
That was the goal you aimed for. And he was an admirable man. When he said you should be able to do that, you believed him, right? So just like you, when you give us a program, we fall in line, truthfully. So I'm training right now to be the best. See, I used to not train to try to be the champion of anything, but now I'm trying to be the best Robert that I can be.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm having a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah. And I mean, and you're doing that, I'll say 70. You're 69. I don't want to date you, but right. I think there's something special about bringing that mindset of expansion into the back part of life. I think it's the contrast to me that seems so powerful and beautiful. And the fact that you're making progress on all these fronts and that you're becoming the best version of you now at this stage in life. You're not setting Army course records at this stage, but you're setting personal records for what is possible for you in your body at 70 with the mindset of improvement. And I think if we look around, most people are effectively giving up in midlife, in their 40s and 50s, thinking that their best days are behind them. And you're redefining what best means and moving forward in a powerful way with structured training and fun and pushing yourself at 70, which I think is just so amazing. And most of the guys listening to this are probably not 70 yet. So I hope they find inspiration in how you're living your life and you're 10, 15 years ahead of most of these guys.
There was a brother who, on a post not long ago, he might have mentioned something that he's not having a lot of fun doing these workouts or something to that effect. And I try to throw my 2 cents in. I mean, I don't try, we can't click like on everybody's post. We're not always seeing everybody's post. Can't comment all the time. And nor do I know if a comment's always a post. But I mean, I have some people in mind and God darn these guys. Is his name Tony Shivers or something?
Yeah. Talk about having adversity in his life and overcoming that, right? For his family. Dang, that guy inspires me.
So when I see something from Tony and other guys, I try to throw my way in a little bit with something positive, right? This one individual said, I don't know if he was loving the workouts or something. And I don't want to get into a whole I'm not qualified to philosophy course. But I think I mentioned Teddy Roosevelt, the man in the arena.
Yeah.
Oh, I know I mentioned that too. Early on, when I realized I was in personal combat with myself to get there, right, to win. My win was to accomplish my mission statement. I printed it out. It's in the room. But I printed out the man in the arena. And I read it for every Apex 10. I didn't start off with the man in the arena readout, but I evolved into that. I have it memorized. It is not the critic who counts. It is not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, et cetera, et cetera. One of your early workouts asked us to do a 45-second plank, right? Mm-hmm. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do a 45-second plank. Now I could recite the results in a plank position.
Yeah.
I can hang in a plank position for minutes now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now when I recite that, I get down on 2 dumbbells in a plank position and about every other line I'm doing a push-up.
Yeah.
Right? It's good reinforcement.
It is. And what I find is striking too, I think you could say the measure of a successful man, especially when you're out of structure, when you're out of school, when you're out of the army and you don't have people telling you what to do, is can you impose this fun structure and discipline upon yourself? Can you both say this, like, I know I keep on coming back to this, but like, I don't think people are reciting powerful poetry in plank position before their Apex 10. And I hope more people start doing stuff like that. Subtle things that you do, I'd say fairly naturally. It's just kind of who you are and what your life experience has molded you into how you approach things. But you create, as a byproduct of that, you're creating more meaning and engagement into the things that you do, which makes them more fun, which makes them more connected. And ultimately, that's why you're so passionate about, how you roll. And it's so cool to see.
Yeah, I get it a little. I'm passionate. I get a little emotional too, as well. It's almost embarrassing. Not really. So, but my mother read to us when we were little, every evening. I don't read enough anymore, but I read enough to value good reading. Like, for instance, Invictus, another poem I would read on occasion, right?
Yeah.
I didn't memorize it as well. I didn't try to memorize it, but memorize now, though. Mm-hmm. Inspiration from others. I mean, I'm not by myself in this world, right? None of us.
Yeah.
Right? And we're part of a, we could say society, human race, but in the Fit Father Project, we're part of a tribe.
Mm-hmm.
You've literally created a tribe. And people like to belong.
Yeah.
You know what I think you did just recently is you have this transformation contest going now monthly, quarterly. That was brilliant. Because people like to rise to the occasion of a challenge.
This is for sure.
You're going to engage more people with that than you ever have before.
I'm glad. And I think I can't take credit for that. Someone on our team came up with that brilliant idea, which is great. Surround yourself with smarter people. So, but I think what you said is true. Like we do, the human spirit does rise to the occasion. Like if it's almost like you can't think when you're going into, and I have no experience kayaking 300 miles, but like you can't approach that thinking about everything that it's going to take. You can just approach that with the willingness to like start and knowing that you'll push through the suck and you can stay present to that. And then you can do things that your mind would never even thought possible. Like, because you can't estimate what the energy investment or the cost would be, but you have to have the willingness to step into the arena. And then once you're in there, the power that you can find internally is deeper than you may expect.
Just looking at that event as a journey. My son and I went to that. He didn't think he wanted to paddle 300 miles.
Yeah.
Right? I somehow had it in my mind I wanted to. And that was 2006. And it kicked our ass. It almost killed us. I mean, it was incredibly. We didn't go back for it.
That much fun, huh?
I mean, yeah. But we did go back. And we did a lot better. Then we went back again in 2011. And we did a lot better. And in 2011, we actually were the first paddlecraft to finish. And so the drive all the way back from Florida back to Arizona, we were elated. Right? We couldn't believe we just did that.
Yeah.
But every time you go there, you learn more and more and more and more. To the point that, you make a mistake, you go, oh, we'll never do that again. We learned so much that we found out that some mistakes were recycling back in, right? Oh, we forgot about that mistake, right? But so you just keep learning and learning, and then the lessons become ingrained. And now I think pro kayak, long distance kayak. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean I go out there and not mistakes. I mean, weather, water, the ocean, they're a harsh master. They can crush you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you stay humble, stay confident. You go out to sea with every bit of confidence, but in a very humble manner.
I think that's like the energy and fire and drive of a young man mixed with the wisdom of an old man, the wisdom and the humility of experience and reverence for these powerful forces, and not losing the desire to encounter those challenges and those forces. That's why I think like something like the Apex or any of the MRTs are like a microcosm of this greater approach to life. It's like you have a 45-minute session where you're going to dig deep, intentionally come face to face with challenge and choose to overcome it. And I mean, you do that in many different ways through these different sporting activities and the MRTs that you create. But I think the benefit of the workout, it's not just the metabolic benefits, the fat burning, the muscle building, the fitness improvements. It's like, this is how you're now shaping your mind to work. And then that translates to a certain kind of mindset that is filled with more power. That obviously translates to all other areas of your life. You start approaching things and be like, I do hard things. I can overcome hard things. In fact, I seek out being uncomfortable because I experience the growth on the other side. That growth mindset is something that I think just like seeps out of you, Robert. And that's why I'm just like really grateful that we were able to dive into some of your life experience here.
Well, it does. And in some ways, I'm the guy. I'm a leader. But I'm not leader of a corporation. Right? I mean, I never applied myself to making a lot of money. I always applied myself to earning that wage. I didn't work most weekends for the overtime. I wanted to go rock climb. But I showed up to work every day. Even when I was sick, I showed up to, I figured if you're going to be sick, you might as well be sick at work. Why just lay around, right? But I never applied myself to some of the, what's the word? Some of those measurements that would define success.
Mm-hmm.
My success, well, first of all, was see my kids happy and right. So I tried to provide a good role model. But it was a narrow role model. I didn't teach them how to go out and get rich either. Right? But they're in their 40s now and they're both fit.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that's a measurement that's for me. Right? Mm-hmm. So I'm what I'm doing here is I'm qualifying my success in my leadership. Mm-hmm. I'm fine. I'm a role model in some arenas. Mm-hmm. I'll admit to that. But it's limited. It's narrow. If there's a narrow path, right? But I don't think, like in a tribe, that's how society's developed.
For sure. And you're doing yourself authentically. This is your authentic expression, what you've been doing. And I think you've lived a very authentic life in that sense. And you're continuing to.
Yeah. And so, but I was losing it there too.
Yeah. I mean, that's a lesson, right? Maybe even one of the greatest lessons is even someone who's been as dialed in as you can have a fall and has to go through the same humble part of like picking yourself back up, admitting that you say you look like a piece of shit and that you need to like make some changes. And
exactly.
And now you're back on it.
I did not want, it was not in my soul to look in that mirror anymore at that guy. And when I saw your transformation contest come along, that was like the one-man tribe had to go to war to survive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I looked at it that way. Yeah.
And what I'll say too is the nature of creating containers for your commitment is a subtle but important thing. Like when you sign up for a race, there's a date, which means there is a gap of time between now and then that is a container for you to pour your energy into. You did that same thing with the transformation contest.
I did.
So listen up, guys. If you want to like make changes, like sometimes create containers. There's a reason why the first phase of the program is a 30-day thing with a container and a mission statement. It's like you're not going to change your whole life in 30 days, but it's something you can wrap your head around of 30 days of effort. So how can you continue to do that? I think you're continuing to do that in many ways, not just through races, but through your training protocols. It's a subtle, but I think more important thing than we give it credit for, that our minds and our motivation works well when we set targets, which means we have a space to really pour our energy into.
I learned somewhere in my 50s when I kind of retired from being an iron worker, but I started a little company with a kike and guide company. Had a lot of fun with that over the last 20 years. But I realized something, that if I put an event on the calendar for next month or for 6 months, but athletic, I have to prepare for that. I mean, it gives me something I have to do. Again, I have to show up at that event competent. I could dream about doing a certain event, or I could put it on the calendar.
Yeah.
And if I put it on the calendar, it's an event. It's something specific and concrete that I have to.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so the FX 30X, that 3-month transformation con, that was a great thing that was on my calendar.
Yeah.
It gave me that focus every single day.
So I want to ask a question for everyone listening now is like, we're recording this at the beginning of 2023. Mm-hmm. There is 10 months ahead. What kind of things can people listening put on the calendar? Something you've been thinking about. Is it like running a 5K, doing a Spartan race, like getting a new program in place? Like what can you take from this conversation to put on the calendar in the future? Throw down in July, throw down in August, but like it's there. You've seen where it's at. Maybe you even pay the registration fee. And now you're in. The process of action has started. Energy is in motion. Commitment has been made.
Do you want me to name something to do? Okay. Let's look at Roberto Santos. He's doing these rucking events, Go Ruck event. Pretty cool. Very cool, in fact. I've been working my traps so hard, I put a 20-pound ruck plate in a pack. I'm like, ooh. So I've been doing my rucking. What little rucking I'm doing, he's carrying some bigger weights than I am. But I'm doing my rucking days on full body days, because it's going to be some walking, et cetera, et cetera. The lower body of it. And my traps are going to get, taxed again, right? Okay, I have a challenge for you. Okay, the Endeavor Team Challenge. Go to their darn website, take a look at it, sign it. Take a brother. You could, at your disposal, you've got...
Yeah, plenty of guys that would come with me on some one of these things, but I got it. I'll open the URL and I'll do it today.
Yeah, I mean, you could go pick it, but pick one of us.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you probably want somebody fairly athletic, right? You have to go do the deed. It's going to start off with like a 20-mile run,
mm-hmm.
right? So this last August was hilarious. It was hilarious. There was at the start, they give you this task to do. They give you a rope and and we had to make a fire with some basic fundamental things, mm-hmm. and burn this rope in it. Well, one thing I should have done is taken the axe and made kindling out of the frayed ends of the rope.
Yeah.
Didn't. So one of the organizers, great guy, he comes over and he goes, "How you guys doing?" And focused to make this fire, this. I go, well, actually, not too good. But I go, if this is the worst problem we have in the next 24 hours, we'll be doing great. I didn't care that I wasn't making the fire. You couldn't start the event until you made a fire and burn your rope in. So there was 49 teams, and we were the third from last to lead. We were already in 46th place or something, but who cares, right? So we go about a mile, and you got to navigate with your map the whole way. So you're going the streets of Bend, Oregon. We turn left, we turn, which way do we go? We get to the first, about a mile away. there's bear crawls, there's buddy carries like a wounded warrior. There's some things to do. Then it gives us another map, and then suddenly we go about a mile, and now we're in the cold Rogue River. Or I think it's a Rogue River. Anyway, now we're swimming, but our transitions are fast, and then we get another map, and we're at a CrossFit gym, and we arrive at the CrossFit gym in 17th position. We were 45th or 6th. Now we're 17th. And you walk into this gym, and there's already some teams in front of you. Some teams have already completed those events there. And these guys in front of us look like CrossFit champions. I mean, the testosterone that was exploding all over that gym was out of control, We ended up finishing our requirements in that CrossFit gym in the end of the whole game, 8th.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Then they give us directions to go down to this climbing gym. Now, I'm a climber, but my buddy Ryan, not a climber. But we finished that 8th. Right? Now we leave the climbing gym, we're in 12th position. And we got a bunch more miles to do. We end up in these woods, and we exited those woods in 7th position. And we held the 7th position all the way to the end of that first sort of 20 miler. Right? And so this goes on for 30 hours. Challenges, decision making. Do we always make the wrong decision? No, we made some horrible. But you recover from that dumb move and try to do the next move better. And in the end, we finished 8th. Very happy with that, considering you just looked around at the field and you go, oh my God, I mean, there's some champion-looking people there.
Yeah.
Right? But I don't really let that intimidate me, but I do pay attention to who I'm going to compete against, right? And it's a lot of fun. So where am I at with this? You should sign up for it. You should bring one of us. And you could have a blast. I mean, I'm telling you.
Yeah. I love this.
Yeah, you're going to have a blast.
I like how this turned on to me, and I take your challenge. I'll get one on the books later this year. And
no, do it right away.
Yeah, no, I'm going to schedule it, but I'll pick it. I gotta. Yeah, deal. I'm in. Okay,
because what they'll do, the organizers, 2 great guys. Really, I used to compete with these guys, like in the previous editions of the sport, but now they're the organizers' owners, right? Mm-hmm. Here's a quick note: the guy the originator of this, he'll be there. I was in the Army with his dad 50 years ago.
That's cool. And you're still getting after it. I love it. Absolutely love it.
Okay, so these guys will put a smiley, Anthony Balduzzi on their Instagram or whatever, and they'll ship it, and your teammate once you get one, and they'll say, "Look at the sign-ups we got here," Cool. And I'll know you've signed up because I'll see your smiley face, right?
Okay, accountability done. I love it.
Right
now, Robert, I want to turn the floor over to you one final time to wrap this up for any single message. And it could be a repeat of what you've shared, words of wisdom, could be something from your mom, anything you'd like to leave as like kind of a bow and a little capstone on this wonderful conversation.
There's my man in the arena, right? That I printed out.
Yeah.
Okay. I wrote an abridged version of my mission statement. Oh, actually, none of these words were in the mission statement, but I wrote sort of an addendum to my original mission statement a long time ago. Here it is. You can see it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's not reading backwards, is it?
No, it says, I will not exit the arena until I am triumphant.
There it is. If you're to enter the arena, the Apex 10, stay with it. That's it. That's your mission statement. Do not exit the arena, regardless of what you're doing in life. If you put it on a calendar, then see it through. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Does that make sense, or that?
It really does. And like I want to just maybe comment on that to give my personal reflection. It's really the mindset of just like, I will not quit. Like, which means that weak voice that wants to throw in the towel, this is getting too hard. Like, that's not to say that the voice won't be there, but you can observe that, watch that, and then double down on that deep feeling as I will not quit, and not until I'm triumphant, which again, you've reiterated, is that doesn't mean the best in the world. It means you got through it. You did what you said you were going to do, which I think is the root of integrity. And when we feel whole and integral with our ability to do stuff and not listen to the weakness that takes us off track, like, that's when we feel congruent, and that's when we create amazing results.
And it's just not that you're just going to see the FFX 30X through and not quit. But you may not, well, what am I trying to say here? You'll learn that you like being this new guy. This transformation process, right, which involves being physical, it does, right? If you let it, if you see through all the, I feel like quitting, if you see yourself through all of those, you're eventually going to be that change guy who loves this, who loves going up that hill, who loves feeling the quads work, right? Who loves feeling the breathing, right? The heart rate, all of it. Like, I never used to wear a heart rate. Who cares about that? I know but I like looking at the result, right? Right? You're going to, whoever I'm talking to, you're going to love what you're creating in yourself for yourself. You're going to love the feeling. I mean, the Apex 10 may not seem like the sexiest thing in the world right now. You're on your hands and knees and you feel like puking. But eventually, you'll be triumphant. Yeah. And you'll like that feeling.
That sits even deeper for me. Triumphant in the sense of, you can be in the arena of the particular workout, you're going to be triumphant, but triumphant, really what it means also is transformation. I mean, you become transformed. And that means that your thinking, your motivations are fundamentally changed in a direction of strength, in the direction of the warrior that overcame and continues to overcome. What a message. And what a message. And I want to say, thanks for being on here and being one of the old bucks in the community with the big rack of horns that's been around the block and is still crushing it. And I think you particularly here at 70 are just a super valuable conversation, because anybody who's thinking like, I'm over the hill, I'm too old, like, you're just living proof that that's just absolutely not true. So I'm excited to know that you're out there in 45 minutes away from the closest grocery store, carrying 50-pound kettlebells down your damn driveway and a mile to get your mail. And you're just filled with love and joy as you're doing that. So, Robert, thanks for coming on today. I appreciate you so much. And this was a wonderful conversation.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.